Hello everybody, Levi Clay here, and in today's video I am going to talk to you about exactly what you get when you pay £2,000 to go and see Zakk Wylde live. Here we go. So, of course, I have been a huge Zakk Wylde fan since I was yay high, listening to all of his records with Ozzy Osbourne, then, of course, all of the Black Label Society records, very influential on a younger Levi, and I've always taken the opportunity to go and see Zakk where possible. This time I was a little bit luckier because my partner had been saving up and she treated me to not just the VIP experience, but the Mega VIP experience when Zakk Wylde was recently in town with his band Zakk Sabbath, who, as the name might suggest, are a Black Sabbath tribute band or Black Sabbath cover band, depending on, I guess cover band is probably the best way of putting it. So what exactly do you get when you spend that sort of money? Well, as you saw in the intro, you get one of these. So this is, if we take a look at the guitar, a Wylde Audio guitar, and they have a different guitar depending on the tour that you go see them on. It's a special finish that you can't buy in the shops. So this, I forget what they call this, the corridor finish, something like that. Very, very cool, unique finish that you're not going to be able to buy anywhere else. And yeah, on the day of the gig, Zakk plays this guitar for the show. And then after the show, you get to take the guitar home. So hence why it's still got his picks on the side. And somewhere here, there is a long strand of Zakk Wylde's hair, just still attached to my guitar. So if we ever need to clone Zakk Wylde, you now know where you do that. So what can I say about this guitar? They're fine. They're totally fine for what they are. They're made in South Korea. The Wylde Audio guitar is essentially a Schecter guitar. And, I like the finish on them. Actually, of all of the Wylde Audio guitars, this is the one where I don't hate the shape of it. So this is the Barbarian, and it's kind of SG-like. There are these little horn cutouts to make them a little bit more pronounced, and there is a pointy section on the back. But for all intents and purposes, a relatively straightforward SG-style guitar. I think it's a nice touch that they have the matching back on, but you have this black to offset it, which I think looks really, really nice. Aside from that, it's a typical Zakk Wylde fare. You've got the Tune-O-Matic bridge, 2 EMGs, I'm assuming an 81 and an 85, the signature Zakk Wylde set, 3 knobs, not 3 volume knobs, 2 volume, 1 master tone, pickup selector switch to go between your pickups. The knob for this was lost during the gig, so it's currently knobless. I will replace that at some point. Bridge pickup, 2 pickups and neck pickup. In terms of the top end of the guitar, I actually really like the headstock on these guitars. I think the shape of it is Gibson-y enough that it doesn't look silly. It's like a twist on the Gibson style headstock rather than trying to avoid doing the Gibson headstock by doing something that looks really, really silly. And of course, if I spin it around, it was signed by Zakk. He signed the case as well when we hung out before the gig. Grover tuners. It has this, I assume, ebony board. It could be a just dark rosewood board, but probably ebony board. By the looks of things, the jumbo frets on there. The inlays on these, definitely nicer than the big block inlays that you saw on some of the earlier Wylde Audio guitars. The neck is relatively chunky. It's not huge, but it's certainly bigger than you would initially imagine for a guitar that's played by somebody who plays a lot of fast shreddy stuff. But yeah, totally manageable neck. I've never actually been all that fussy when it comes to necks. So yeah, aside from the guitar, what do you actually get when you spend £2,000 on a VIP ticket for a gig? Well, you queue up. And here's my big complaint about VIP experiences. I've been on a few VIP experiences, several VIP experiences over the last 20 years. And I have seen them progressively change. Back in the day when you did something VIP, like I remember when I was 16, I did Paul Gilbert's VIP. And that was limited to 6 people. So there was only 6 people on the gig for the VIP. And we got to hang out with Paul before the show. We watched the sound check. And then he gave us a group guitar lesson, which was really, really cool. And I emailed Paul, actually, after the gig, just to tell him a joke and to see if he remembered who I was. And he absolutely remembered who I was based on some of the things that we'd said during our VIP experience. To me, that's what a VIP experience should be, right? You should be very important to the person that you're dealing with. So I always say that if you meet the band the next day on the street, they should know who you are. And unfortunately, as VIP experiences have become more widespread and they've become good ways for bands to make a lot of extra money, they've started to increase the amount of people that can visit a VIP thing. So you get less and less time with the band. For this VIP, there were 2 sets of VIPs. There was the £80 ticket VIP, which allowed you to come into the show early. You got to meet the band, take a photo, get some stuff signed, and all of that good stuff. And then there was this, the £2,000, where you got the stage played guitar. Now, there were 3 of us. So there were 3 of the mega VIPs for the gig. There were 3 identical guitars that Zakk got out of the box. He signed the cases for us. We got to hang out with Zakk one-on-one, have a little bit of a conversation, sign the guitar, play the guitar, then we picked the guitar up after the show. And I don't want to say it felt very impersonal, but the struggles that a band is going to have to go through when they're on tour, it's a conveyor belt of meeting people, right? So if it was just 3 mega VIPs, that's a lot of money for the band to make. But unfortunately, there were 70 people, I think, in total, something like that, doing the £80 VIP thing. And that meant that there was, as I say, a conveyor belt of, walking by the band, shaking their hand, getting a photo. And that just feels a little bit impersonal to me. It doesn't feel VIP. Now, I understand that words have usages rather than meanings. I talk about VIP and what that means to me based on, back in the day, VIP. And of course, the meaning of that word is changing. I think that I would prefer it if we called them something else. Let's call them very rich fans. You guys are our very rich fans, or the ones that are willing to spend, far more than the cost of a ticket on a gig. So beyond that, we got to obviously see the show. Now, how was the show? The show was terrible. I know that's an awful thing to say. Not Zakk Sabbath's fault. I should be really, really clear about this. And I'm going to make a follow-up video on this, on metal fans and the big problems that they have with respect of other people that are there for a show. But, I got to watch Zakk Sabbath from the barrier of a show. I got to watch him play my guitar. On some songs, and as you can see from the footage, getting to see a guitar which is yours being played is really, really cool. And walking home with it. Now, value. Let's talk value on this. Is it worth £2,000? Such a ridiculous amount of money, and I had a lot of fun. Very, very cool to have a lot of fun, but there's always that niggling feeling of, are we wasting money with this? Now, when it comes to these guitars, I think if you go on like Anderton's or places that sell wild audio guitars, a typical kind of Barbarian guitar, which is one of these, I think you're looking at about £1,600, which is a lot of money for what they are. I'm going to look dead into the camera when I say this. That's a lot of money for the guitar. I don't think that they really justify that price. They are charging that price because it says Zakk Wylde, it's a wild audio guitar. But they are run-of-the-mill Schecter guitars made in South Korea. They're import guitars, and they're very expensive for what they are. But let's say you're happy to pay £1,600 for one of these. Would you pay £400 for the limited edition finish and getting the meet and greet, the hangout with Zakk, and definitely getting to see the show from wherever it is in the venue you want to see the show? Maybe. It's difficult to put prices on things, right? I probably wouldn't do it again, and that was mainly because of the audience, not because of Zakk. But this is a very, very cool piece of rock memorabilia to me now. It's going to sit on my wall. You will see it in videos, and I'm very unlikely to break it out for anything because, of course, I am I'm a jazz and soul musician these days. But it felt kind of cool to be able to jump in and grab something so closely linked with somebody that you spent so many hours of your life listening to. So, questions for you guys. What do you think of this guitar? Do you think it's hideous? Do you think it's cool? Would you buy one of these? Would you go and do a VIP tour? Do you think £2,000, which is probably what, $2,500, something like that, plus fees on top of that? So it was actually worked out more than that. Would you do something like that? Have you done anything like that? And do you have any VIP experiences that you can share with us in the comment section below? If so, sound off and I will get back to you. Much love, and I will see you for another video soon. Laters.